This is Canonn Faction News, recorded live from the Tinfoil Line box in Verity.
A good relative time part to you all. I'm Councillor Starbeaver, stepping in for Commander Larzok today. I'm afraid he ingested too much nip over the weekend and has spent most of today coughing up hairballs. Anywho, tonight we have 3 reports from the CFN team. First we'll go over to the Pangolin with some details on this week's CG.
2 new appeals for materials have begun, due to the sudden hostile actions of Thargoids. Independent engineers, explosive expert Liz Ryder, and the well-known xenobiologist Professor Palin have been contracted by Aegis to develop new technologies to research and combat Thargoid presence. Pilots are asked to deliver unknown technology samples, unknown biological matter, ancient relics, and explosives to the station Aria Flurble in Eurybia, and deliver unknown technology samples, unknown resin, computer components, and resonating separators to Obsidian Orbital in Meise for Professor Palin. At this time, these missions are regarded as a top priority for Canonn scientists, especially Professor Palin's sensor suite, designed to study the Thargoids. The weapons from Liz Ryder are also useful, as at this time it is believed that Thargoids could react with hostility to human ships. Many underground organizations have taken it upon themselves to block the progress of science, and are UA bombing these stations. Pilots are asked to deliver any meta-alloys to Obsidian Orbital first, and Aria Flurble second, as Obsidian Orbital seems to be taking the brunt of the beating. MAs can be found along with other unknown materials needed by the engineers at unknown sites, a map of which can be found linked on screen now. They can also be found at Barnacles and in meta-alloy convoys in the Pleiades. This is Pangolin Wranglin for Canonn Faction News.
Thank you, Pangolin, for the detailed report on this week's very interesting CG. Now we go over to HSKelvin with some more information on Aegeus.
Hey, good witch space to you all. I am Commander HSKelvin, today coming to you with a special report straight out of the Pleiades. Recently, the Pilots Federation held a press conference about the Thargoids in order to dispel and clarify any doubts the public had about them. Shortly after the press conference was held was when we here at CFN were leaked footage of what appears to be Aegis Hunter wings attacking, then promptly getting annihilated by a Thargoid vessel. Whilst this wreckage has not yet been found, we have discovered a new Farragut wreckage with similar damage to the original wreckage found a few months ago. While not much is different about the wreck on face value, the message broadcasted via Morse code from the ship is a different story, and it reads, Executive Order confirmed. Server purge success. Ship assets liquidated. Payload lost. Ship status lost. A much more eerie message, in my opinion, the meaning of which has already had our trusty cannoneers working to figure out what happened and under whose orders. And that's all for me, Commanders. Thank you for watching, keep your eyes on the stars, and now more than ever, fly safe out there.
Thank you, Kelvin. And finally, we go to Lexik for a brief biography on one of the most busiest men in the galaxy, Professor Ishmael Palin.
Hello, Commanders, and welcome to what is planned to be a new weekly segment here at Canonn Faction News, Lexic's Lexicon. Today we are detailing the life and discoveries of Professor Ishmael Palin, a man who has recently entered the scientific spotlight of the galaxy for his investigations and discoveries related to the Thargoids. The professor first entered the public eye on the 13th of September 3301 when it was announced that a federal research program being led by Professor Palin had been created to study the unknown artifacts that were being discovered in many systems across human-inhabited space. No more than a week later, the research program was terminated by the station governor Aoshi Quaid, who ordered the head of the project to immediately cease his research into the strange artifacts. Many believe that the decision to close the research project was not the governor's, as according to a source at Fort Harrison, she was previously very enthusiastic about the research program. A week after the termination of the research group, on the 27th of September, Professor Palin was invited to join the Canonn research group, although he respectfully declined the offer, citing philosophical differences concerning the objects. On October 26th, it was announced that he would resume his research with his team at a research base at Christian Dock. Early in November, it was announced that 3 armed intruders were apprehended at Christian Dock. A civilian source at the station was quoted as saying, I have it on good authority that they were trying to break into Palin's laboratory, and I heard that they had incendiary explosives too. I wouldn't be too surprised to discover that they were trying to destroy the lab and the unknown artifacts. In late December, Palin issued a request for evacuation shelters with which to establish a new research outpost on Maya B1BA. The research request was very positively received by the galactic community, and he immediately began construction of his new base of operations after it had succeeded. A month later, on January 21st of 3302, after the discovery of the mysterious barnacles, the professor issued a request for the mysterious resource that they had produced, which has been dubbed meta-alloys by the galactic community. Soon after the target goal of his was reached and the appeal ended on the 28th of January, he had announced a breakthrough. Unknown artifacts are the cause of the widespread damage across human-populated space. They have the ability to repair themselves by extracting materials required for the process from their surrounding environment. This monumental discovery explained why they harmed ships, stations, and other forms of machinery. 3 days after the appeal ended, a mysterious diamondback explorer with the designation S67 had circled Obsidian Orbital in the Meise system. According to Chloe Anders, the vessel came within 10 kilometers, and soon after, their sensors lit up. The mysterious ship was scanning the station, and soon after, left. She was asked for her opinion on its actions, and said she believed that it was searching for something. A week after the event, Palin announced that he would depart from Obsidian Orbital to his new research base on Maya B1BA. 2 days after his departure, it was announced by authorities in the system that he and his team had not reached their destination. A month later, on March 5th, the missing scientist was discovered by a combat operation meant to eliminate the Blue Hand Gang, a criminal organization. Soon after he had recovered, he announced a breakthrough in the fight against the technological plague that had arisen from the unknown artifact's damage. Meta-alloys can be used to neutralize the interference caused. However, the raw form of meta-alloys is not very effective when combating it. On April 15th of 3302, Ishmael Palin announced that he would be retiring from his research group. The following is his reasoning behind the decision. It has been a tremendous pleasure to be a part of the discourse surrounding the unknown artifacts, and to share ideas and opinions with so many passionate individuals. But there are dark forces at work in the galactic community, forces that exist in opposition to ideals that I hold most dear, and I lack the strength to continue fighting them. I have therefore decided to relinquish my directorship of the Palin Institute to Professor Cora Shaw, who has for many years been my closest ally. I have faith in Professor Shaw's ability to lead the Palin Institute to even greater heights, and to uphold the ideals for which it stands. I fully intend to continue researching the unknown artifacts and meta-alloys, albeit in a more inconspicuous fashion, at my personal research center on Maya A3A. Those who wish to visit me there are very welcome to do so. There is nothing I enjoy more than spending time with those who share my interests. In October of the same year, Palin had announced yet another scientific development. He had found previously undiscovered properties of the meta-alloys that could create robust new materials that could be used to great effect in combat ships. A day later, the Federation blockaded Palin's research base on Maya A3A. After this, Palin was silent until the 16th of January 3303, when he commented on the sighting of an alien ship that we now know to be the Thargoids. He noted a very obvious visual connection between the ship and those which had been found on planets throughout the Pleiades. On June 16th, the ships were confirmed to be Thargoid by Professor Palin, whose data was later seized by the Federation, who attempted to ferry it to a federal research facility. But the ship carrying the data was attacked by the Thargoids when moving to its destination. In early September, it was announced that the federal blockade against Palin would end, and that the Federation's capital ship above his research facility would be withdrawn. That brings us up to just a few days ago, when Palin announced an appeal in cooperation with the Aegis Research Group for Thargoid materials and computer components in order to develop scanners to provide more meaningful data on the Thargoid ships. And with that, we end our first in a series of segments of information meant to keep commanders up to date on important figures, objects, and happenings in the universe. And now, a quick warning from the Canonn Institute regarding interaction with Thargoids. You can't fly safe if you can't see, or if that fancy new hand is just post-pre-retro modern art. Regardless of the efficiency of the new defensive measures, cannoneers with cybernetic prosthesis required for flight operations are advised to install power cells and relays to be switched to during a Thargoid EMP incident. ADNAM B20 series and Janker's neurocell components are advised by the Institute. That's all, Commanders. Thanks for listening.
And that's it from the CFN team today. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you all again next time.
Thank you for listening to Canonn Faction News.